Hello, everybody. This is Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. One of the big controversies today is this idea that President Trump supposedly said that here's how they were going to take on democracy. They were going to attack democracy. A lot of the left-wing publications have been making this charge. And so I wanted you to see exactly what Donald Trump said, because the truth of the matter is he said nothing of the kind. Look, just watch this clip. Take it from Donald Trump's own lips.
For decades, you watched as a corrupt political class in our nation's capital looted our lives. You know it very well. But in 2016, you voted to stand up to those liars, losers, crooks, and creeps, and you elected an outsider as your president, and it was about America first. But we did it for 4 years, and that's why we did so well. That's why it was one of the great presidencies, they say. Even the opponents sometimes say that he did very well. I have to say, take it back, they scream. His people say, take it back. From that day on, our opponents, and we had a lot of opponents, but we've been for an American democracy. You look at what the extreme and they have just waited. They focused country. It would be a lot easier because we're going to bring this country to levels that it hasn't seen before. We're going to take it to levels even higher than where we had it just 3 years ago. For 4 straight years, they tried to overthrow the duly elected president. You know about that. With one hoax, witch hunt, and abuse of power after another. Remember Russia, Russia, Russia. Remember all of the nonsense. Of 2020, they rigged it and they stole it. And since crooked Joe Biden got in, he's been weaponizing government against his political opponents like a third world get about to a lot of people, not just Donald Trump, a lot of people, but we got him. We got this thing. We got this thing. But Joe Biden's banana republic ends on November 5th, 2024. It's a banana republic. Biden and his radical left allies like to pose as defenders of democracy. You see, he was standing up there not so long ago with the pink and red background. That looked a little bit sinister. I don't know if he knew what the hell he was doing up there, but he was up there spewing the words that somebody wrote for him. But Joe Biden is not the defender of American democracy. Joe Biden is the destroyer of American democracy, and it's him and his people. They're the wreckers of the American dream. The American dream is dead with them in office. It's sad. We had such a dream. We had such an night when these people came into office over the past few years.
So there you go. That's the what Donald Trump said. Note at the end where he was talking about Biden being the wrecker, destroyer of American democracy, and so here's what some people have been saying on the left. This is Snopes. Believe it or not, even Snopes got it right. So here you go. This is what Snopes has to say. Yep. No, Trump did not say we've been waging all that war on democracy. Okay. This is now what you had was various groups. Biden, Harris, HQ, for instance. Trump, we've been waging all that war on American democracy. Well, I guess Biden and Harris have been waging all that war on American democracy, but it wasn't Donald Trump who did it. It was Biden and Harris who did it. Minus touch. Trump confesses we've been waging all that war on American democracy. Donald Trump's cognitive decline led him to tell the truth to voters in Iowa. Notice how they use themes that are directly describing what Biden's what he's doing, what he actually did. and what he intends to do. Um, and Snopes, and here's the judgment. You heard it, but Snopes, the left-wing Snopes, Snopes is under a lot of fire from the left for writing this. In Snopes' judgment, based both on what we actually hear on the audio track and on the context of his remark, he did not. Here is our transcription statement drawn from C-SPAN's video recording of the event. Okay. To our ears, Trump unambiguously said, "We've been waging all-out war in American democracy," and C-SPAN's transcript reflects the same. We did not hear, nor does the context support the claim. He said, "We've been waging all-out war on American democracy." It's clear that Trump was out to accuse his political opponents of waging war, not himself. Given the context, Trump likely meant to say, "They've been waging an all-out war on American democracy," but those weren't the words that came out of his mouth. We have reached out to Trump's campaign for comment, and we'll update this article. Okay, so there you go. Even Snopes found it to be false. But let's take a look and just remember that speech, that infamous speech that Joe Biden gave using Independence Hall as the backdrop, the red, ominous backdrop, turning Independence Hall into a ominous sign for America's future and America's future freedom. Here's Joe Biden, just in case you forgot what he had to say.
Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just, that is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Very clear up front. Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things. But I'm an American president, not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results as I speak in state after state to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig, has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there because I think you get the idea of that. Remember just how brutal that speech was. This is the President of the United States giving the word, not even subtly, to the entire administrative state that it's okay to censor conservatives, that it's okay, that the end justifies the means to debank conservatives or anybody who disagrees with Joe Biden. It's okay to spy on conservatives or anybody who disagrees with Joe Biden. This is a president who is telling the administrative state itself, is unleashing it to use the full power of the IRS, to use the full power of the entire surveillance state. So, and then he said, oh, I didn't say that. The only threat to Americans' freedom and constitutional freedom is Joe Biden, and the thing we have to do is win in 2024, because the nation cannot stand. Our freedom cannot stand so long as we have a president who unabashedly justifies the abuse of power for political purposes, who tries to settle political disagreements by unleashing the full power of the federal government against those who disagree. We're seeing that across the country now. We've been seeing it for a while. It's frightening, truthfully, but it's something we have to stand against because our freedom depends upon it. So anytime you hear these guys talk, understand they're describing what they're doing. And this latest little attempt to characterize Donald Trump as having said that he's is attacking democracy is just that. It's admission of their own guilt. Let's see what we got in the comments section today, because I think this is pretty important to hear what people have to say about it. Let's see. We got Deborah McGuire. The great threat is this illegitimate, treasonous, conniving administration. Deborah, I've never felt this way until the last couple of years. But yeah, you come to the inescapable conclusion. But the only way that we can deal with it is to win on election day so overwhelmingly that there is no doubt. Let's see what we got. Lisa Newcomer. Well, Biden Solis, I thought as president, you work for all the people of the country. However, this man criticized a former president, berates the former president's supporters. And now we see that Biden has done destroyed and hurt the people. Lisa, one of the things, and this is I've written pieces along these lines, and I'm playing with writing a book along these lines, and it's called Battle for the Soul of America. And Joe Biden 3 times in that little clip we showed talked about the soul, about his soul. And he's constantly using the term, the soul of America. What they mean there is the DNA of America. Notice the things that he brought up as being under attack. We're talking about gay marriage, transgenders. We're talking about that whole cultural attack on what used to be the norm just 10 years ago. And so certainly he's attacking the position that Barack Obama took in 2008 in the presidential election on any of this. So let's just be clear. The battle for the soul of America is a battle for our children. That's why they're going after the school systems the way they are. The battle for the soul of America is the battle to try to silence those who would disagree so that they can roll over like panzers through Poland. That's the battle for the soul of America. They use intimidation. They use every tactic in the book. And the question is, are we going to let them? The battle for the soul of America is whether or not you believe that God, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Do you believe that our rights are created, God-created rights, or do you believe that they're government-allowed rights? That's one of the questions. It goes to the heart of our Declaration of Independence and our founding. It goes to the heart of the question as to whether or not you have a Fourth Amendment or any of your constitutional protections. Whether you have a First Amendment to assemble. Well, no, under this administration you don't. Do you have a First Amendment for speech? No, only the speech that they allow. You have a Second Amendment right to carry and to keep and bear arms. Not according to this amendment that continually fights against ownership and possession of all guns, not to mention carrying them. Do you have a Fourth Amendment right? Well, no, the surveillance state clearly is engaged, and you are guilty until proven innocent. They don't have to get a warrant. They're collecting your data now. So this is and because of that, do you have a right to not incriminate yourself? Well, since they're scanning your data, and anybody they choose, they scan their data, they can actually do whatever they want to do. And truthfully, we've watched this with the Mueller investigation, where and looking at Mueller and the history, they do all the time. This is regular federal law enforcement practice and has been for years, where they gather information using the surveillance, and then they take what they know from the surveillance to try to piece together a way to convict somebody based on the knowledge they have from the surveillance, but not actually using their surveillance. And so that's and that's called fruit of a poison tree. It used to be get cases thrown out, but the fact of the matter is not anymore. We see a rule of law which doesn't exist, where we have a two-tier justice, where Joe Biden, he cooperated with his special counsel, who we never heard from. So even though he illegally held documents from his Senate days and his vice presidential days, when he had no right to those documents, he's free and clear. Nothing to see here. Not because he's president, which is the right answer. He wasn't allowed to prosecute him because he's president of the United States. But not because of that, but because, he cooperated, so we're going to just let it go. Wouldn't let it go with anybody else, but they're letting it go for Joe Biden. Meanwhile, another special counsel is busily prosecuting Donald Trump for actually having documents that he was allowed to have. That's the insanity of the two-tier justice system, shown just in that one case in a way that is unimpeachable. So yeah, we've got a problem, and we've got to fight for this country. And the fight we have has to be politically. We have to fight within the constitutional framework that's provided. Okay, let's see here. Well, he has to start a war to stay in office. Well, he's got a few of them. Quite honestly, Ukraine is a bipartisan affair, and the Democrats are holding up funding for Israel in order to get additional funding for Ukraine, as bad as it may seem. Let's see here. And Lisa, you got notified on this. That's good. We've been having a problem with the notifications lately, which is why we stopped doing these for a while. because notifications weren't going out, and as a result, we weren't getting as many people watching them as usual. What we'd encourage you to do is to share this with others so you can so they can see it and really get the truth about what's going on. So if you're so inclined, just hit the share button with whatever vehicle you're watching this on. And with that, I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you for tuning in. And we will be back tomorrow with another Americans for Limited Government Swamp update. With that, take care.